Welcome to the first official episode of the relaunched The Briefing Note podcast. In case you don't know, my name is Sarah Elder, and I'm the owner and founder of Madam Premier, and this is my podcast. And in case you missed the news, I am doing things pretty differently from now on. So, in addition to the long form conversations that have always been a part of the podcast, I'm also going to be doing short podcasts on issues and cultural events. And I really had been thinking that the first episode today would take us and me, you, all of us, down a rabbit hole of someone named Hannah Nealman and her husband, Daniel, who, if you don't know her by her name, she also goes by her Instagram account name, Ballerina Farm. And how the politics and culture of this in the Make America Great Again movement, as well as trad wife culture, as well as something that you may or may not have heard about called Make America Healthy Again. And this is such a fascinating part of MAGA culture and within conservative social movements and mom culture on the internet. And it's just so fascinating. But that's been interrupted and paused. The first the first mini episode that I'm doing as part of the briefing note is going to be on Doug Ford. And why Doug Ford? Because Doug Ford has become the hero I have been waiting for to speak up against Donald Trump and his tariffs. And did I think it was going to be Doug Ford? No, but it is. And I shared a post on Madam Premier's Instagram account this morning with a quote from Doug Ford. And it's generated a lot of conversation and a lot of things that I think are really important to unpack and just, toss around in our minds. Because it really challenges us, I think, in a lot of different ways. So what's the quote? So Premier Doug Ford said, quote, "We will go to the extent of cutting off their energy, going down to Michigan, going down to New York State, and over to Wisconsin. I don't want this to happen, but my number one job is to protect Ontario, Ontarians, and Canadians as a whole." I mean, I, for one, am really happy to hear this message because this whole Team Canada approach has been just like, I feel like we're just getting pushed around by a really big playground bully, the bully being Donald Trump. And so was I expecting Doug Ford to make this comment and to say that he would be willing to cut off energy from Ontario to the States? No, I absolutely wasn't. But guess what? It's getting picked up in mainstream media in the United States. Like we're talking CNN is pushing out this story. And that's great because not only do Americans need to understand how the tariffs will make their lives more expensive, but also that there would be real repercussions for them on top of the economic costs that, that Canada would have to take in response because we're not just going to get pushed around. We're just not going to let this happen. And the Team Canada approach that's been pushed by the federal government has been way too nice, in my opinion, way too nice. And I think, Doug Ford is, in this situation, a great person to go up again, not only against, but to Trump. Like, I think that there would be a connection there. And actually, my original thought was that Danielle Smith would actually be a great person to do this because in my mind, I've conjured up the idea that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau would reach out to Danielle Smith and be like, you know what, we have our political differences, but, in terms of what's happening with Donald Trump and his threat of 25% tariffs on Canada, for the good of our country, as well as for Alberta, would you be willing to help me out and, maybe be a part of a delegation the next time we go down to Mar-a-Lago to help me advocate on the behalf of Alberta, but most importantly, on behalf of all Canadians? Like, I know that's a fever dream, but a girl can hope, right? So that is what I had thought as an Albertan could be an ideal situation. But you know what? That's fine. It's not Danielle Smith. It's not going to be Danielle Smith. It can be Doug Ford. I mean, this also happens today when Alberta has announced that they're going to be investing $29 million into border security patrol with sheriffs and drones. This has nothing to do with Canada. Nothing to do with Canada. This is just Alberta going out on its own. So it's about 50 sheriffs, 10 cold weather surveillance drones, 4 drug detection dogs, who I'm guessing are adorable. And it's going to be starting next year. And who knows if she discussed this plan yesterday on the call with the prime minister and the other premiers. But, it's a messy and complicated issue. And as much as I even now have said that haven't been a fan of the Team Canada approach, this is why we need an approach so that Trump doesn't see the vulnerabilities in dividing and conquering individual premiers. And so that was my initial thought, like in bringing Danielle Smith and the UCP along on this, it would hopefully bring them in and prevent things like this from happening, actually, from us making our own announcements as a province, because this isn't in the best interest likely of Canada, because as you all know, this is a huge country, and just Alberta doing something on the border with a problem that we actually know to be really, really insignificant. Like what happens at the Canadian-American border is not what happens at the American-Mexican border. So back to the comments on this Instagram post. It's been really interesting to see, knowing all of this context, that people are having a really hard time with their dislike of both Justin Trudeau and Doug Ford and the position that they're in. So some people don't want to support Doug Ford because of other things that he's done in Ontario. It doesn't matter, you guys. Like this is where we have to be able to hold multiple truths to be true at the same time. You cannot like Doug Ford for different things that he's done. But can we like him in this moment, standing up for Canada, not only Ontario, but all of Canada and Canadians? Because I find it really, really despicable that Donald Trump thinks that we're a joke, creating memes with him, like standing on a mountaintop with a Canadian flag, like looking over us, like we're, what, his next acquisition? No, I don't want that. Calling Justin Trudeau the governor of the great state of Canada? No, we don't want that. That should make everybody upset. Even if you don't like Justin Trudeau, it should make you upset. Like, it's just disrespectful. We have to be able to, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, if you are, say, on the right side and you don't like Justin Trudeau, or you're on the left side, generally speaking, and you don't like Doug Ford, like, can we not do this, please? Like, let's disagree with them when needed. But then, let's, come together more or less to some extent at times like this, where you don't have to like someone to be able to say, yeah, I think what Doug Ford is doing is good and needed. And who's to say? We don't even know if this is coordinated. In the caption I wrote, I said, that Doug Ford might be the bad cop to Justin Trudeau's good cop. We don't know. But what I am happy about in this moment is that someone is standing up to Donald Trump and standing up for Canada, because I think that's really important. And we absolutely need that, because we all know how Donald Trump operates. If he sees weakness, vulnerability of any kind, he's going to see it as an opportunity. And so, this is where we're at. Doug Ford is maybe the hero we didn't know we needed in this situation, but he is, and I'm very happy about it. So I hope you have enjoyed this first new version of the relaunched podcast. And I would really appreciate hearing back from you, actually, if you, what you liked, what you just didn't like. Constructive criticism is appreciated. And if you can hopefully leave a positive, let's say like 3 or above stars on the podcasting platform of your choice, I would really appreciate it. And as always, I'm super appreciative for your time and for you to listen to me. And I hope, maybe you've both nodded and shook your head during our time together in this conversation. But you know what? That's actually, I wouldn't want it any other way. So yeah, still to come. Don't worry. I'm still going to go down the rabbit hole of the Make America Healthy Again, trad wife, Hannah Nealman, ballerina farm. It'll just happen on another day. So thanks for listening.